Hello, everybody, and welcome into another exciting episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be reviewing 28 Years Later. It hasn't actually been 28 years, which we can discuss, but, you know. Joining me tonight, first up, from Oakland, California.
I'm number
Please
one.
welcome Rachel to the show.
I'm number one.
Next up on the show from Manhattan, New York City, looking more like the lead singer of Puddle of Mud every day. Please welcome John Schnars to the show.
Eric, I've been seriously contemplating a haircut, and every time you say shit like that, we get closer.
Hates me. That guy's been. There's been videos of surfacing of that guy. He's not doing great. They've been out doing fairs, and he's just drunk. It's not great. Last up on the show tonight from Indiana, please welcome Casey to the show.
Hello.
Casey, you may have lost the NBA Finals, but you have Caitlin Clark, and that's pretty cool. You know?
Yep. So she's
Basketball
a force to be reckoned
Bill.
with.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. All right, we're here to talk about 28 years later. But before we get to that, John, I saw a trailer for Jimmy and Stiggs before 28 years later.
Ooh.
Did you even know that was happening?
So I did check after you mentioned it. I checked because I get like the trailer. Like they basically can tell me every theater that the trailer is going to be in, and it was. I didn't even know what theater you were at, but it was in Regal in New York, and there you go. Yeah. So
Yeah, it was kind of cool. There were like a bunch of indie horror trailers, not just yours. And I was like, all right.
those other ones suck though.
Well, you guys are at the
great.
forefront of a trend, is what I'm saying. Like, in the theater, I get a trailer for the next film from the people behind Pooh, Blood, and Honey, and it's one of their next movies. Apparently, there's multiple ones, but this one's about a killer reindeer.
There is a Poonaverse coming.
Yeah, no, there's an Avengers-style movie coming.
Hell yeah!
And right now they're doing, this is like the phase one where they're introducing all of their films.
Guys, why are I feel like we're taking the spotlight off Jimmy and
Jimmy
Stiggs
and
right
Stiggs,
now. And I don't need to hear any more about the Poonaverse.
It's great.
that's for
You
sure.
didn't put Pooh in the title, John. That's on you.
Yeah, I mean, it's on Joe Biga's side. Nothing to do with it. But, yeah.
Poopy and Stiggs, just saying.
Guys, well,
all right.
I'll just tell you right now, because I was gonna do this later in the show, but let's do it now. We will be very, very soon announcing a screening tour for Jimmy and Stiggs, which
Yay.
coming to many cities around the country. We have a corporate sponsor we're very excited about, and yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm telling people here, because if you get in early, the tickets are free. This is a free word of mouth screening tour. We want Bloody Good Horror fans in those seats.
Where do we get information?
You'll follow the Horror Section or Horror Section Studios on Instagram and receive it. If you're an investor, you will be getting early notification and specific instructions. But for the non-investors, we still love you and would love for you to be at the screening tour. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be in.
You know what I want to know, John? You know what I want to know.
I got bad news about San Francisco.
It didn't work out.
But Rachel, if you can get to LA, there's gonna be a lot of screenings. So,
NYC or Boston?
Yeah, there will be NYC July 26th, I think. Boston, yeah, there's gonna be Boston too.
I'd rather drive to Boston, honestly.
Indiana, stop laughing.
I don't think we're in Indiana. But
Casey, don't you have a draft house out there or something?
We do now. We do have.
I don't have a fucking draft house where I am.
No, we're hitting all the different chains. It's got a lot of different.
Well, let me know about Boston, because I'd prefer to go there than New York City. I'm more of a Boston guy, John.
Keep your eyes on those investor updates and or the internet.
I'm going to be honest with you, John. I don't really read them. I just assume you're going to tell me if something's important.
That's fine. That's okay.
You know?
That's what I'm here for. That's why I show up every week on the show.
Speaking of important...
John got your money. He don't care.
Speaking of important, let's get to the more important business tonight, which is discussing 28 years later.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. From the prime time. Main feature.
John, we were discussing this pre-show, but I have now I saw every 28 film for the first time in my life within 5 days of each other.
I'm actually most excited for your review then because
Yeah.
I haven't seen either of the other ones in a long time.
First one, I'll give you the patrons pre-show
Give us
got the full
build-up
deal.
review. Sure.
The first one, absolute classic,
Yeah.
was creative, tense, emotional, poignant, very economical, like a small cast, a small kind of story told within a large, just like the first one is brilliant filmmaking. I was actually like very pleasantly surprised to find that wasn't just like a nostalgia thing for people. And
it's great.
then 2 days later came in hot to the second one, killer opening, crazy casts like Jeremy Renner and Rose Byrne and like Idris Elba and shit. By 15 minutes in, I was like, oh no, what's happening? Didn't care for it. I don't like the second one. I think it's bad.
I
here
honestly
we are.
can't tell you 3 things about this. For none of those people I could have named out of the second one.
Yeah, it's a wild cast. A lot of them like not necessarily pre-fame, but just on that kind of edge of like when they all started blowing up. So
Well, the
And
first
then
one
here
was
we
like
are.
a pretty big hit. So,
yeah, I get
You
it.
know.
I understand why.
Yeah.
okay.
All right, let's do the word of the day.
Today's word is necropolis. Necropolis, Necropolis. A cemetery, especially a large one belonging to an ancient city.
Surely we've done Necropolis before.
No, you know what? We've done other necro words, but no necropolis, from what I can tell. I was surprised as well, Eric. I'll just say it. But necropolis comes from the ancient Greek necros, meaning dead person, and polis, meaning city. Necropolis.
All right, John. What's that have to do with 20 years later?
They got dead people all over this movie, so
Ray finds is weird is the broadly.
yeah. So there is. All right,
Just
let's
a weird,
let's-
creepy little guy.
I'll try. So 28 years later is set 28 years after the action of the first film. The outbreak of do they even give the virus a name? Like we call it, like it was like the rage virus.
It's the
Yeah,
rage.
yeah,
They
the rage
call
virus.
it the rage virus.
But I wasn't sure if there was like an official name. I don't think it ever got mentioned.
I don't know that anybody ever says the rage virus, but they do talk about rage a lot, like especially in the beginning.
Yeah, well, and even in this one, they talk about it a little bit. There's like moments of it as well. But okay, so you get the rage virus. What we learn in the opening of this film is it actually like was contained entirely to the United Kingdom. And so this film is set in sort of Scotland, like on an island, it's a very small island,
Yeah, so
whose name I'm going to forget.
very briefly, since I just watched them all, that's one of the most interesting things about the series. The fact that and I have thoughts about that in relation to like themes in this film, but like the fact that the outbreak happens in the UK, and in the sequel, but you leave the first film not really knowing that. There's kind of like talk and suspicion at the end of the first film of like somebody says it. A character late in that movie is like, no, you don't understand. Like it's not like this everywhere else. But it's very ambiguous at the end of the first film. The second film jumps in right away and establishes like, no, that's real. It only happened here. The island was quarantined, and they were trying to repopulate it with people who survived, basically. With evacuees, they're trying to repopulate it. That goes badly. At the end of the second film, it escapes and gets into mainland Europe because of some very dumb illogical decisions by characters. So that is the status of the world pre this movie, and then within 5 seconds at the beginning of this, they're like, never mind.
that
It's
was
back
cool.
now. It's just
It's fine.
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and
So
so,
you got
Like
the
a
rest
Last
of the
Jedi
world.
situation where they're
So
like,
you have
yeah,
the
no,
rest
no,
of
no,
the
no.
world basically functioning normally.
yeah, well,
Midichlorians.
we don't see the rest of the world, but yeah, we are told that it functions normally. And there's like the specks of glimpses that you get. I mean, like literally the boats that are like passing by you sort of. And then there's the soldier who shows up.
Like it's like a whole arc of the movie.
Well, I mean, sort of, but like
You're gonna
it
get me
doesn't-
started, John.
All right. In any event, So we are on this island. We are living in what is like sort of not pre-modern, but like I don't know, like there's like pieces of modernity, but then crumbling modernity. Like it's funny, and this is like maybe the longer conversation to have later, is like we've seen so many of these post-apocalyptic zombie things now, and like maybe we were talking about it on the show a couple weeks ago, but like just finished watching Last of Us. Like there's so many versions of this that like it's really hard to like show you something that feels like fresh and original. This at least has this like, okay, we're living on this island, everything is like super peaceful, it seems like mostly efficiently or effectively run. We've got a little kid, I don't have anyone's name in front of me, so you guys can like Spike. Yes, Spike. So you have Spike. We meet Spike.
Kid.
He's about to go out on his first like hunt with his father. Father's played by
Side question, John. Hunt for what?
Well, this is like zombie killing, right?
They don't talk about it as a hunt in the film. They talk about it as like a scat, like they're going to look for stuff, but
he's
not...
scavenging. Yes. Okay, so he's scavenging. He's going out. Aaron Taylor Johnson plays Jamie. He's the dad. They're going scavenging, and the mom, Jodie Comer, is that how you say her last name? Jodie Comer. She's sick and like kind of delirious, and we don't really know what the story is. And the dad is like not really telling the son what the story is. And they probably don't know, because here's the thing. They're living in this island where they have access to some aspects of modernity, but it's all 28 years rotted out, basically. So they use bows and arrows. They have sort of like modern knowledge, but they don't have the actual modern things, other than they're able to create electricity. They've like clean water, yada, yada, yada. In any event, they leave. They go out on this hunt. That opens up some of the mythology, right? So we get the Alpha, which is like these like super zombies that are sort of smarter and bigger than the regular zombies. There is like other people living off this island on the quote unquote mainland, but which is mainland UK, which is otherwise deserted, but people living out there. They get trapped out there. They are able to get back. And the real crux of the film is the son realizing that the father has somewhat lied to him about the mom and her prospects. He sees the dad like hooking up with another lady, which he does not take kindly to. And so the son basically like tricks a bunch of the people to get his mom off the island, because he's been told one of the sort of people living out in the woods is a doctor. And he's like, oh, well, this doctor can help my mom. We have no doctor here. And so that's sort of the rest of the arc of the film. It's like, let's go find this doctor. And they do that.
And then Jimmy.
And then, yeah, I mean, I didn't even mention the like. There is this like opening sequence where we're back on day one of the virus, and we're introduced to Jimmy, who only comes back at the very end of the film.
Yeah,
we can get to all
that.
Yeah, like we can say up front, like this is a planned trilogy. Second one is coming. I've seen
Which I didn't know.
January?
Well, yeah. So it's already shot. It's done. It's in the can.
Mm-hmm.
Nia DaCosta. Yeah. It's funny.
I want to
because
talk
I
about.
thought Alex Garland was directing the second one, or I like.
When
read
we get
that
there, I
somewhere,
want to talk about the fact that like I didn't know that going in, and how that kind of colors the ending
Yeah.
when it comes out of fucking nowhere.
Wait.
Literally.
Colors the ending. You
Yeah.
mean like how did you even like understand
like,
what was happening otherwise?
The fuck?
I
That's
mean,
the end of
it's
the movie.
seeded throughout. You know, there's lots of Jimmy references throughout.
Rachel.
What?
I'm regret to inform you we're in opposite camps tonight.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know. I'm very
I'm
curious.
actually-
I don't know
Okay.
where people are.
All right,
Okay.
Rachel,
Let's
what do you
go.
got?
Yeah, okay. So, well, I will say I do have kind of complicated feelings about this. I have so many thoughts. I'm having like a little bit of a Three Stooges in a doorway thing about like I don't even know what angle to tackle this. I mean, I think as a 28 days later film, I like it less because I miss sort of the gritty realism and stripped down nature of that first film. But as a post-apocalyptic sort of like zombie film, I really did ultimately love it. And I think to John's point about how you can't really do much in this space without it feeling, you know, derivative, because there has been so much. I think the film smartly focuses on the human element and introduces characters, particularly Spike and Isla, who are immediately, like, I feel very immediately connected to them and very concerned about their well-being. He also uses sort of like, he expands sort of the mythology of the zombies and adds these alphas, which bring back the sort of frenetic, frenzied berserker energy of those original Rage zombies, which were like paradigm shifting at the time. And so you do get some of that with the filmmaking, with all the camera setup. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about like the 28 camera iPhone thing that he did. Like, those little elements are the places where it feels the most like a 28 Days Later to me. So I think, but like I said, focusing on the human element is really what worked for me. I think Spike in particular is really a great character because he's the anchor that this sort of is built around, and his sort of quest, like the we'll get into it. I think, sure, we'll talk more about like I'm sorry, I'm like I told you, my brain is like scattered because I just
Which
have so many thoughts about
stooge is
this.
making it through the door now?
I think it's Curly right now. Mo is like pushing his way through too, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, so we'll talk about sort of like the journey of manhood and like rite of passage that I think this movie is ultimately about. But as far as a monster movie, I think it works fairly well. It's a little more mystical than I was expecting, and so I have complicated feelings about that. But ultimately, I did enjoy this quite a bit, and made me. I really like the Weird Jimmy stuff. I like the cult stuff. I like that it kind of brings in sort of the heritage around like like polytheistic religion and like cult stuff that was like on the islands of Scotland. All that kind of stuff worked for me. So I don't know. We'll talk about the passage of manhood, I'm sure, but like for the most part, this really worked for me.
Casey.
Unfortunately, I'm not in the same camp as Rachel. This one did not work very well for me. To be fair, like Colleen's still a big Walking Dead fan. We literally just finished the latest season of Maggie and Negan's big fun trip to New York or something like that. So I've seen all of them. And sitting down for this, I'll be honest, it felt like another episode of Walking Dead, or a longer one. It's pretty standard in as far as zombie type movies go, not getting into the semantics on if these are zombies or not. So with that, it was hard for me to get quite as engaged to it, to where we get to the point when Voldemort and his, Bone Palace show up. I'm kind of checked out at this point, and I'm not picking up on some of the stuff that that Rachel liked in that, because it's, to me at this point, I've already started to fade. I'm not a big Aaron Taylor Johnson fan in general, so I didn't connect well with his character. I didn't think he was terrible in this, but I just didn't. There wasn't a connection there for me, but I did like Spike, and I did enjoy his journey. And I think part of me was hoping. The thing I loved about the first movie is the first two movies is how we went from that gritty survivalist version of the first movie. Then we got to the second, where we started to see how the world changed around it, and I was hoping to see more of that. And we got glimpses of it here with that soldier and, some of the Jimmy talking stuff, but I was hoping to see more of that. So at the same time, while this movie didn't do it for me, and I did have the same W2F reaction to the end of this that Eric did, that's when it dawned on me. It's like, hey, this is a trilogy. There could be some nutty stuff in the second movie. I'm going to go ahead and I'm engaged. Let's see what they got.
John.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with my biggest note, which is actually like the thing, Casey, you were ending on. To me, this felt like watching the first two episodes of a 6-part series.
Yeah.
And I say that because I think the movie actually, it's structured. You have episode 1 is like their journey out, and it climaxes with the alpha chasing them back into the village. And then episode 2 is basically like the son deciding he needs to save the mom, and goes out on the second journey. It also felt like we were sort of being reintroduced to this world and doing a lot of world building for a movie that is going to be better later, because of what's filled in after the fact. It's great. It's very well made. I'm happy Danny Boyle is working and making stuff and back in this universe, because I know he makes other movies, but these he doesn't make that many horror movies. Like he's done a couple, but so I'm like happy to have him back. Like that's cool. I like the cinematography. I like how experimental it is, both on a cinematography level, but then even on like a not narrative. I think it's pretty straightforward narratively in a lot of respects, but it is doing things with like interstitial and like the whole sound design aspect that they used in the trailer like gets used in full here in a way that like it just works. Like it's like great. So I don't know. Like there's parts of this that really worked. It like again, it felt very well made. It's like a confidently made film. Like I like had a good time watching it. But at the end I was like, all right, so like now I gotta wait for I mean, thankfully I'm not waiting that long, but I feel like it's just like, okay, like so I'm gonna get the real movie later? Like what's going on? I had a lot of issues too, which like I had a lot of issues with the world as constructed, meaning like this whole like we're just leaving all of these people, even though they are seemingly fine. We're quarantining them and leaving them alone. Like we all just went through a pandemic. Like
Yeah.
I sort of found it hard to believe.
You could still drop them food. I guess.
You could fucking run a power line and like you could do all kinds of shit to help these people and or just take them off the island if they like are clean, like keep whatever. So like there's a lot of questions I have. Now, I actually think what they're setting up is to do the broader like I do think Casey you're right that that's like where the subsequent films go. And if they don't, I'm going to be like, guys, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
I have bad thoughts for you, John, about where
right.
the second movie is going. Listen,
I mean, it's going to be about Jimmy, presumably.
I'm not going to super hot take here and be like, this is like a terrible movie. And I want to talk about the things that I like about it and the kind of version of this movie that I enjoyed. But I have like major problems with like the construction of this thing overall. I will say I like Aaron Taylor Johnson a lot. He was kind of
I'm pro.
This is another place where Rachel and I are in opposite camps. He was the only thing I liked about Nosferatu. I was texting you guys like, "What's up with this dude?" I like, he might be on my man crush list at this point. I liked him.
Watch Craven the Hunter and then come back to us.
I think
I
that-
don't dislike him. He's just kind of handsome and there.
I think that the kid is fantastic.
Yeah, the kid's very good. I agree.
He's kind of being asked to be. And this is another like you think the dad's the main character, then he disappears. The mom's in nowhere anywhere. The mom is like a background character in the first act. Then the dad's kind of the main character. Then it's like then she's the main character, but then really it's like the boy and like it's kind of all over the place. But like, here's what I like about it. There are interesting ideas here. You talk about, John, the sound design. I think you're talking about the Kipling poem that they play.
Yeah.
And that was I had sent you guys that really
Yeah.
I had sent you guys that really brilliant piece of marketing that they had done for this movie. There's something like deep down in that interesting about the fact that this series takes place in Europe, and when they do that, they're showing, clips from what looked like World War I to me. Like there's something about this rage virus to me and a parallel between sort of the way when war does break out in Europe, it's essentially like wildfire. It just spreads across the whole continent, basically. I also think there's like, I was hoping, Rachel, you had something very smart for me here, but like there's something there about if you think of like the nature of colonialism, and of course we're in Britain, right? Like the epicenter of it for the last couple hundred years. Well, yeah, but like, right, that colonialism spreads through death. And so now it's really interesting that this virus now has gone back and it's just here. It's almost like the death contracted and is now just destroying this sort of epicenter of where this came from. That's like, because when they start showing me these images and this poem about war, like they're getting at something there that I wish the rest of the movie would have continued getting at. But that part you're talking about, John, is about 90 seconds. It is when they're walking out on the plank, basically, out on the causeway or whatever. There are like two different movies here, and it's kind of my beef with it. There is a version of this movie that is more like that, that is also like very. They could have made a version of this movie that's simple, that is about like a deep kind of like meditation about death and life and what it means to be alive, what it means to be dead, surviving and trying to thrive when you're surrounded by death. There's another movie in here that is trying to be Neil Marshall's Doomsday, and I don't mean that in a good way. The Jimmy thing is like straight out of fucking Doomsday. Now, I would also argue
I'll
fine
ride
with
for Doomsday any day of the week.
Listen,
just to be clear.
I'm fine with either of those movies. They don't mix together. There are like 3 to 4 almost like unforgivable tone changes in this film that are fucking crazy. Like when Ray Fiennes comes in, it's like he's in a different movie. For starters, let's start
This
there.
is the mystical thing. I was like,
Yeah.
Okay, back up though. The alphas are dumb, and I don't mean the concept of the alpha. I mean the design on the alpha is like you went to a cheap museum and they've got those tableaus of like cavemen. That's what this fucking alpha thing looks like. First of all, second of all, I didn't
They
need
spend
the
a lot of money on those
The
tableaus.
swinging dong is ridiculous. I understand it's like almost crazier to if he had clothes on, that'd be crazy. Fine, you need the dong, that's fine. The first moment where this movie turns is where this thing gets on the causeway and starts chasing after them, and he looks like a fucking Dragon Ball Z character. He's literally like doing this, and the worst CGI water you've ever seen. It's silly. Like that is the moment where I was like, I was fully with this movie until that moment on the causeway, and I was like, oh no, like what the fuck is this? It's like a hard tone change. That's when the whole trajectory of all the characters changes when they get back. I presumed they were just going to go out once, get lost, and that'd be the whole movie, is them trying to find their way back. And along the way, they learned about life and death and becoming a man. This script feels like 2 different people who have, and I'm not even saying I know who those people are. I'm not even saying it's like Boyle and Garland, but like it feels like 2 competing ideas of what this film is. And instead of like either going with one or the other or finding a middle ground, it's bouncing all around. Like this Ray Fiennes things, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of batshit crazy. And in a film that is really super focused on that, on the playing with those themes of like life and death, I think that part plays better. In this film, it's like super unearned. Not John, and you bring up the soldier. Why the fuck is that soldier in this movie? It's fucking pointless. It's just like it's so silly. The only thing I could think is that in some way, like it draws into contrast how different the lives of other people are in the world. But he takes up a significant chunk of this movie and has zero impact on the plot.
But this is where I
whatsoever.
think it feels like it's seeding for things that are going to happen in the next movie. That's what it felt like to me.
Well, guess what, John? I'm here watching this movie. 1, 2. I didn't know that this was
I
a
agree with this
trilogy,
point, to be
so
clear.
I'm just a human man trying to enjoy a single film, and that's also my beef with the ending. I was enraged by the ending. Like, now there's a world where maybe Nia DaCosta is making some crazy, like Doomsday, Clockwork Orange, batshit crazy sequel that's all about crazy human factions. Like that's kind of there's a version. There's like a world where we go down that path, and if that's what they do in the second movie, like I'm kind of in.
Cool.
Like,
Yeah,
that's
no,
fine.
we'll be there for it.
It feels so off at the end of this movie. It's crazy. Like, I understand you made a trilogy. Maybe you shot them all at the same time. But, dude, you got to give me some kind. You can't just Jimmy me out of fucking nowhere in this film.
Eric,
Like,
he's in the first scene.
no. But I'm not talking about the character. I'm talking about the tone
Yeah. Well, no,
shift
I-
at the
I
end
take it.
Yeah,
is
I think
batshit crazy.
there's something a
batshit.
little lost in translation because it's like a very specific British reference that's happening. I think it's getting lost. Like his name is Jimmy and he's dressed like Jimmy Savile, who is someone that people in the UK will recognize as like a pop culture person. He was like a beloved children's
Yeah,
television.
wasn't he?
You know who
He was
is?
also an abuser.
Yes. So
Yeah.
he after
I've seen that. I've
posthumously
actually
they
seen that
discovered he
documentary.
was like that he was a serial like
but that-
pedophile.
I don't know. That doesn't
And, like,
change
I mean,
the
I think
point of what
some
I'm
of it is
saying.
just like cultural lost in translation to some degree.
Yeah.
They're referencing something very specific with that character.
That is a specific reference. I didn't clock it, but
I
now
mean,
that you say
they're
that, I'm
wearing
like,
his
okay.
jumpsuit.
Yeah, sure.
Can I give you my prediction from the ending? close to what Eric's talking about with different human factions, but I wouldn't gonna say it's groups of gangs and kids from the modern world coming in to prove their worth or having a contest against the survivors on the island getting their jollies.
Again, the very Doomsday. I'm in.
Yeah.
Let's do
and
it.
then they end up letting and for the third movie, they accidentally let the rage fires back on the mainland.
We've already done that, Casey. I'm sorry. No.
We already
Yeah.
did, and they were like, "Psych."
Yeah.
There's just so much silly shit. And like, there's this scene with like Ray Fiennes and the mom where like it's supposed to be like so poignant or heavy or whatever. They somehow non-verbally agree that he's gonna put her down.
Yeah.
That's an awful big assumption from him that she wants him to murder her.
yeah.
But can we talk about the scene? Okay, the alphas, right, are built up
Yes.
as these very tough, scared. They're terrifying. They're so strong. They're so fast, and they're supposed to be like the big bads of the movie. They're so scary, right? And Ray Fiennes shows up, shoots him with a dart, and he's just standing there. And then Ray Fiennes is like cracking jokes about how like, oh, he's just like
Yeah.
my little buddy. Like you're first of all, he's standing there, and then like that scene really pissed me off because like, are they scary or are they not? If he's making jokes about them, they're not fucking scary. And he has some kind of control over them or something. Like, where's
he
he
gave
getting
them
like?
morphine?
Yeah, no, he shot it with
Wouldn't he
drugs.
fall? He wouldn't. He froze like you pressed pause on a video.
I know.
I think he's just high. Like he's not unconscious.
So lay down or walk or wander. I mean,
I mean,
Well,
I
you'd
think you
think
would
we'd
be
at
arguing
least,
they
like,
didn't
go
have
slack
that
or
scene to be
something.
arguing
Frozen
how did he
plates.
survive this whole time, and it like
Yeah.
it shows you how he's like adapted to this world.
right. But
is-
then he's powerless against them 40 minutes later when he shows back up and he's got this like little container thing that apparently does nothing. Like he just
Well, that's
fucking rips
yeah.
it off.
It
like-
seemed like he was going to
So
get
it-
taken
so
out of
does-
that container thing
So
very easily.
can he
That I was surprised
effortlessly
about.
get control of them, or are they really
Well, I think
terrifying and
that-
even his defenses don't keep them?
I
from
think the
coming in?
stakes changed because they took the baby. You know what I mean?
Don't even get me started on the fucking babies, dude. The fucking babies. What is the point of that in this film?
There's no point.
No point.
It's
I'll
for
tell you what the
next film.
point of that is in this film, and I say this after we're finishing the Walking Dead Maggie and Negan thing. Child zombies are the thing this year.
Yeah, but
I
it's not. a
guarantee you we'll
zombie.
see
It's-
more.
It's
Like
like,
I'm not
the-
going to argue semantics.
it's
with
like the
you,
girl
but-
in Last of Us.
Yeah.
Also, like, do you think they filmed like zombies banging and we're like, I don't know. Because it's kind of wild they don't include it with everything else they include.
No, so I am, man, it's funny. You hit a lot of things, Eric. Like I'm now having a version of what Rachel was going through earlier, where I have like different Eric response stooges trying to come through the door.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with someone about this movie earlier this week. I cannot remember who it is, and so apologies, but they were referencing how funny they thought the movie was and how they were
silly.
happy that Danny Boyle was sort of like injecting humor into it in a way they weren't sure was going to be present
There's
in
some funny
subsequent films.
moments in this.
No,
you don't think so?
I
There
genuinely can't
definitely
tell
are.
if he's trying to
Okay.
be funny or not. And I struggle
That
with
whole-
funny in a film with Ray Fiennes being so earnest.
But even the Ernest Ray Fiennes is like kind of goofy. Like it, you
It's
know.
super good. Yeah.
So, but like we haven't even touched on, and I assume some of this was meant to be funny. The like slow creeper zombies, and
The introduction
love
of the creeper
those.
zombies was awesome. That like
Yeah.
over the shoulder shot is incredible. I will.
Yeah.
That's the hill I'm dying on.
They make
that is
no
the necropolis
sense.
I'm dying on.
They
to
make
me
no sense,
tonight.
but
Necropolis.
I liked the creeper zombies. yeah.
well, and the other thing you get the like kid creeper zombie, which unclear if it was a kid who got transformed into a creeper or came from the copulation of two creeper zombies, but was itself a zombie. So.
Yeah.
No, I like so all that to say, the Jimmy piece when it happened, I will say it was somewhat triggering to me because I was like, that was when I was like, guys, like to Eric's point, like what movie am I watching? Like it felt like I was like,
A
oh, so
different
this
movie.
was like I said, episode 2 of the
Yeah.
series. You know, because otherwise the Jimmy stuff comes out of nowhere.
But like
other
your
than
average
the fact that
person
it is, like-
doesn't know that. Like I didn't even know that I have a fucking horror podcast. Like,
Well-
admittedly, I don't read stuff, but like
oh, we try.
the
to
average
go in
person
fresh.
doesn't care or whatever. They're just gonna walk out of the theater and be like,
No, now
was weird.
to Rachel's point, I like that it is seeded throughout, right? So you get the barn with like there's like some whatever reference to God, and then they like scrawl Jimmy in there.
He's the
And-
first person we meet.
Well, sure, but like yes, but and then also the zombie that's hanging upside down, the person who has been punished and is hanging upside down has Jimmy. You're not even 100% sure it says Jimmy at first. It's like, but then retrospect, obviously, it's like very obvious. So yeah, I don't know, but like yeah, where that went and like how zany,
It's wacky.
it's
Yeah.
very
It's real wacky.
And so that's where I'm like, what is Nia DaCosta like stepping into? I mean, to Eric's point, maybe it is like Clockwork
I hope
Orange
it's wacky
meets
because I
Doomsday.
feel like that's where you take it at this point.
Well, see,
honestly.
that's why that's why I had after that ending, after my first reaction of what the hell was that, and I started thinking about it, I started to get interested in what Nia DaCosta is going to do, because the more I think about it, that's my problem with this movie is, we're 28 years into this infection. We've seen the first two movies and how those escalated. At this point, in 28 years later, I was hoping to see more of the silly shit instead of Aaron Taylor Johnson in his warm, cozy wool sweater, in his little cabin and whatnot. I was hoping that would be more of the movie of that zany stuff. Just
Well,
to
See,
show,
I-
because we're
Maybe it's
in
coming.
advanced post-apocalyptic stuff, and that's why I think it gives me glimpses that we could get
I
that.
would have taken either movie. Like I kind of enjoyed that stuff. It's a little
Yeah.
slice of life stuff. It's almost like period piece. Like let's see how these people live and have adapted. And what I expected is we would see more of like those kinds of factions on the mainland. Maybe again, maybe that's different movies.
Different villages.
What I
and stuff.
expected is that they'd go onto the mainland and find a bunch of factions, but that they would be sort of like crazy again, which maybe that's the next movie. But that's kind of where
I really wanted to
feeling
go to that
Doomsday.
party that they had. That seemed like a sweet party.
I want to
Yeah.
know more about the mask, the creepy like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's why I'm saying I feel like there's something here about what it looks like when the UK is like kind of returning to its roots and it's like rural roots, and I think it goes into these places of like
So it's a Brexit film, is what you're telling me.
it is totally a Brexit film. This is actually.
I guess you're right.
Film.
It is.
There's a
It's like a
metaphor.
pretty
It's
obvious
just
Brexit film. Now that you
Brexit
say
has
that.
by force though, not by choice. Is like
Yeah.
this is what that looks like. This what happens when the UK like cuts itself off from every other sort of influence and goes back to its like ancestral roots. You get this, That's why.
Man. Like, look, that is like a very good read. Now that you say that, it's like it's the whole Brexit thing seems very obvious.
yeah.
I am curious then, like, how the hell are we supposed to make heads or tails of this as like a U.S. audience? Like the Jimmy Savile thing. Like, you're right. Probably that you're now. I'm thinking about the costumes. You're like, oh yeah, obvious. But like,
yeah, but it's not even that. It's how they're acting. Like they are acting as if
It's
they are in a
wacky.
different film. That's what I'm saying.
I want to
It's like,
see where it goes.
I'm not. Your point is still valid.
I
Eric.
mean, that is
like
a
they're
coda at
acting like the
end.
roller skate dudes in Return to Oz.
Yeah, the Wheelers.
Like, man, Can someone explain to me the scene where the kid falls asleep when he's out on the mainland with the mother, and she, who's like on her deathbed, basically, we flash quick and see that she saved him from the, like that felt like some kind of seed that we were going to learn some secret about her, and it's just never touched on again by the film.
I mean, I think we're seeing
then
glimpses
she
of who
dies.
she was before the brain tumor, right?
Yeah.
But she's like bedridden and can barely walk until that happens. And she's
These
so
episodes,
so deft when it happens. You're like, oh, she's like a secret ninja. Like I thought they were trying to tell me there was something going on with that character that we were gonna learn, and then 20 minutes later she's dead. And
It's
I'm
just
like, okay,
kind of
guess
brute
not.
force. She's not flipping like the Jimmies. She just is smashing a very slow zombie's head
I
into
just
a
think
wall.
I think this film would have been very much helped by simplifying. I think there's too much happening. I think there are too many plot threads and too many characters for what didn't need it. Like,
but that's the
just-
world building for the subsequent films.
I also
that
think
is.
there's commentary about like rite of passage and masculinity in this that requires sort of this multiple chapter thing, because we see the first time they go out, he goes out with his father and he has
Yeah, but you don't need the soldier for that. You don't need the alphas and fucking zombie babies for that. You don't need. You don't even need Ray Fiennes for that.
Eric,
although
can
I
you
can
let
appreciate
Rachel
what
finish
he's
the point, for the
bringing
love of
to
God?
it.
But I mean,
He's not
obviously,
interested. We can
Spike's
move on.
Spike's going somewhere with Jimmy and the gang, so he's going to have this experience that he's built off of with the survival and everything else. I think it'll be an interesting character development to see what they do with the kid once, he starts, because now he's venturing off on his own. So
Do you
what
think
did
the third one's going to come out when it's actually 28 years later? Or are we going to...
maybe?
What would it be,
Oh,
2031?
Well, I think it's like 28 weeks later is when the next one is coming.
What are they going to call it? 28 years
It's called
later?
the
It's called like
something?
the Bone something.
28
like the
years
Bone-
later, 28 weeks after that.
Bone City or something.
When is it
Yeah.
coming out, Rachel? You said-
January.
Although
Welcome
we'll
to
see
Bone
if it-
Town.
Yeah, yeah. And it stars the Alpha going to Bone Town.
Guys, come on. The Bone
I'm
Temple.
sorry. Let me elevate the conversation.
The
Yeah,
Bone
sorry.
Temple.
We don't do elevated horror here, Snars.
No, I know. 2000. Yeah, no. We're getting all three of these before 20 because it was 2002. So yeah, yeah. TBD. I'm giving this a TBD.
Yeah, I'm curious.
I had fun, Rachel. I said I had some fun.
I will tell you this. I think it's better than the second one.
Oh, for sure, it's better than the second one. I mean, that one's just like a big metaphor for forever war, right? This one, at least, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a little more interesting
I don't know. This is like a very
for all the
like,
reasons that I won't be telling you.
nuanced metaphor for Brexit potentially, and that I don't understand. So,
Yeah.
um,
Now that Eric's talked about it, I didn't think about all the stupid soldier stuff in the second movie, but I did enjoy the movie of the idea of rewatching this fall as they tried to repopulate, but all the stuff with Idris Elba and Jeremy Renner and stuff was dumb. For sure.
It's just like their plan doesn't make sense. Like
Yeah.
they bring everyone on an island too quickly, and then when they get somebody who's clearly there's somebody is a carrier, like they don't have the virus but they're infected with it, like they don't have the illness but they have the virus inside of them, and instead of immediately like killing them and disposing of them, they basically like put her into some kind of James Bond or it's like it gets out so ridiculously easy, and then they have no plan to stop it, basically, except shoot.
Yeah.
It's just, it's silly.
I mean, as we learned from our own pandemic, the powers that be know exactly what to do, and they definitely don't do anything stupid to make the situation worse. They flatten that curve like that.
well, and everybody listens and complies. So
Oh, yeah.
that's what's helpful.
With tears in their eyes.
At least there wasn't too much shaky cam in this. I'll give it that.
That is true.
Yeah.
And I did like the little ground crawlies.
They were big.
Yeah.
I would call them big ground crawlies,
Indeed.
There was a little one.
but it was walking. That was the walking one.
I don't even know if that's all I had on this movie, but tired.
Um,
my brain hurts.
Yeah, the more we talk about it, I realize I was just hoping for more Doomsday. Without
Kinda made me wanna
the
go back
medieval
on
armor,
some-
maybe.
It kind of made me want to go back and revisit Doomsday.
Yeah.
that was like one of our first 10 episodes, I believe.
I think it
Was
was.
it? When did that
Yeah.
release? Let's see.
So
No, not Avengers.
Doomsday.
March 14th, 2008. So
It
6
was
months- 6
episode
months in?
19.
4 months in?
Ooh,
Yeah.
deep cut.
Sorry.
I will say this was one of those bizarre experiences where I came out of this theater and was like, oh man, this movie's going to get savaged. And then I was like, I've definitely seen some people, I would say it's like 30-70 from what I've seen, with my opinion being like the minority. I feel like I've seen more praise for it. Which
No,
is,
it's the reviews are good.
surprised me.
It performed well.
Best opening of any of these movies.
Yeah, inflation, I haven't looked at the
I'm just
exact
saying.
numbers.
Like, if
No,
people are
I'm-
hoping to see the trilogy, we want to root for
Yeah,
good
no.
box office.
We're getting a trilogy at this point. There's
Well,
no
we're
way.
getting
I
the
would
to-
like-
second one for sure. The third
Yeah,
one
they
is
haven't started making the third
dependent
one.
on how
what I
good
want in the
it
second one,
performed.
like Doomsday is like definitely a good pull, but also it's like the Warriors. It's like I want different
Yeah.
goofy factions.
I don't know. I'm invested in something different in this movie, so I don't need goofy. Like, I
Rachel,
would
Do you
actually
think it's
like it to
going that
lean-
way though, based on the ending?
I mean, I think it's possible that it's going that way. Certainly,
It could
but
be
I,
like
I hope
a-
it's not. I'm much more
It's-
interested in seeing like where Spike's
Yeah,
story
well,
evolves,
Rachel, you
because
want
it's
the,
so
like-
much about
The Gulliver's Island or the Gulliver's
Yeah.
Travels setup where he becomes like, it's his journey, but through all these wacky. I feel like we've been set up for Jimmy to be like a big character though, because he opens the film.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think we're going to see.
And the dad's still alive, right? And so is Ray Fiennes.
Yeah.
Right.
See, I'm kind of with Eric. I think we're heading towards like an Escape from New York type situation. Not the story, but the walled off New York that they're trying to get somebody out of, or somebody's going into that's not supposed to. Maybe remember that movie with Ray Liotta, Fortress?
Yeah.
I don't.
Something, a little bit of that.
It's like a prison movie, right?
Yeah, Prison Island.
Yeah. It's a sweet movie.
No, we did one with Guy Pearce, though, didn't we?
Yes, that was the
spaceship one?
space prison.
What was that called?
I don't remember.
Lockout.
That's a Luc
Yeah, it's
Besson movie.
Lockout.
Wasn't that a Luc Besson movie?
I think so.
right. I had the twist ending. Love it. All right. Would you recommend this movie, Rachel?
Yep.
Casey?
Wait for streaming.
John?
I'm going to say yeah.
Sure. I think
Wow,
sure.
Eric, I can't believe it. I didn't think you were getting it.
Listen, it's like if you like the other two a lot, or at least like the first one, it's worth checking it out. I'm with Casey though. Maybe watch it when it's out and
Yeah.
video on demand.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think it'd be a lot more forgiving on demand.
Yeah, if I eat my little snackies and my blanket
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
You know what? Wait for the second one and then see them back to back. Maybe
Yeah.
they'll re-release it in the theater.
I like where your head's at, Schnars. Well, no, you watch them back to back at home.
No, you
Yeah,
gotta
Oh no,
come
we
on.
wait till the third
We
movie
support-
when
we
they do
support
the
theatrical,
re-release all
around here.
the whole series.
Now, now it's a whole day.
Yeah.
That's a commitment. All right, guys, let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
Send feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
And we're back. I'm gonna put this in my top 10 purely because I want to boot the monkey. I don't want the monkey sullying my list anymore, so it's gone.
You don't get one more week, monkey.
Fuck you, monkey. You're done. All right.
So wait, what's it going in at? Number 10?
Yeah, it's at 8 right now. I think I'm just too lazy to shuffle my list around. But yeah, nothing. I would say. Let's see. Man, I would say 6 to 10 right now. Could go pretty easily. Even
It's a busy back half of the year. So
yeah. I would say only my top 4 right now feels locked in. Is how I feel, and that's Ugly Stepsister, Sinner's Companion, and The Rule of Jenny Bell.
Just putting it in the lock zone.
Those are my only locks.
So good.
All right. Casey, you want to hit us with some threads? Do we have any? You're muted, I think.
You're making face motions, but no noise.
How about now?
Yes.
There we are.
There we go. All right, sorry about that. We got a couple threads out there. I'm having technical difficulties tonight, so these threads are thematically connected. So I'm just going to read them both before you guys answer. You'll see why. Our buddy Metal Prof asks, "Were you prepared for the sheer number of wieners flopping around on the screen?" And
Felt very pointed. I'm just gonna say.
MICCHR WAG asks, "My first threads question, mostly an Instagram guy. Thoughts on the hogs in the movie? Should we have had Barry Keegan's Saltburn character playing an infected?"
Man, it felt like they really wanted me to just stare at some wieners. In that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Is that what they
I'm
meant
here
by
for
alpha? That's it for Threads, though. It was all dong centric.
Yeah.
Love it.
Threads is really showing its colors.
We got a couple emails. Hopefully I didn't miss anyone here. No, I think I'm good. Our old friend Caitlin in Kissimmee. Eric
Look,
better
Caitlin.
take back everything he's ever said about the movie Doomsday after 28 years later. What the fuck with the tracksuit mafia? I cannot. That's from Caitlin.
She's gonna
Jace sent an email, heartbroken. As I'm going through the catalog, my favorite thing is when you guys hate movies that have since become genre classics. Jennifer's Body and Train to Busan are a couple examples. First of all, I don't even remember ever seeing Jennifer's Body. I don't think I did. Train to Busan, I'm the one who doesn't like that. I know him. Whatever.
I was gonna say I thought I remember.
Yeah, I
that
was
was me.
Train to
That was
Busan.
me specifically.
Okay.
However, today you guys really broke my heart for the first time due to how much you hated one particular movie. I'm talking, of course, about the greatest contribution Finland has given to the world. Come at me, saunas. And the greatest Christmas movie of all time, Rare Exports.
Oh God. Rare Exports,
I knew
yeah.
Eric was going to hate it because even hundreds of naked old men couldn't overcome his hatred of anything from another culture. But John and Casey really let me down on this one. Only Mark didn't
Sorry.
actively hate it. I hope some of you have come around on it in the year since. I've never watched it again and I still hate it. So, no, sir.
Rachel, have you seen Rare Exports?
Of course.
Okay. All right.
I remember seeing like the I mean, it was like a bootleg. Come get me, I guess. Ice. A million years ago, which was like the European cut, which was, and then the American cut, and there's a lot less dong in the American cut.
Oh wow,
So
they
if
went
you,
ahead.
if you on a rewatch are
Jesus.
like, you know what this is missing? Like
More?
old man dong. I
Yeah.
have good news for you. There is a dong cut.
Well, there you
feel
go,
like
Jace.
What we watched must have been the Euro cut, unless you're telling me it's like substantially more.
I mean, it was hundreds of dong.
Yeah,
it was
I mean,
just
that sounds right.
a stampede of dong.
Yeah. They couldn't even do the CGI as well back then either, so you just assume those were real.
All that flapping noise.
Yeah.
Alrighty,
Not
let's-
like today where it's just all prosthetic dongs.
Stunt dome.
If you have to get 100, then maybe.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Instagram. John, did I send you? Well, did I send you guys a picture of Mark? Mark was in town. this
Oh
week.
yeah, you texted
Yeah.
us.
And he brought me the BGH banner that had our cartoon little guys on it. Oh, that was
Because his wife was like, "Get this fuck out of our house!" Like,
yes. Let's see. Brian Wolford. Do these count as zombies? Sure.
No,
They're pretty
they're the
zombie-like.
infected.
No, they're infected by a virus.
wow, no. I was
They
like,
didn't die.
obviously yes, but okay.
No. I mean, like, I think it's, if you were going to throw it in a bucket, it would go in the same bucket as a zombie movie. But if we're going to, like,
I'm fine with Big
Classify
Ten.
them.
I'm fine
At
with
this
Big 10
point in this
zombies.
movie, you can call them zombies, but in the first movie, they made it specific that it was an infection from a virus that was
Sure, but isn't zombieism normally treated pretty much exactly like a virus?
But they come back after death with the rage virus in the first movie. They didn't die
Well,
first. I don't think they
post
just got
1968, they come back after death. Prior
Sure.
to that, it was
They were
Yeah.
just like
something
voodoo.
different.
Yeah, the voodoo zombies are a whole different class.
I
Yeah.
love that we're reviving an argument from.
Yeah, I know.
Well, the funny
yes,
thing
it's
is,
back nostalgia.
the funny thing is, 20-year-old me,
low-rise
would-
jeans and this.
the 20-year-old version of me that never refused to see this movie would have been like, no, these aren't zombies. Get the fuck out of here. Now I'm like, it's all good.
I remember
Schneck-
once early on
Slow growth from
in
there.
our history, like
Thanks, John.
top first 50 episodes, that I said something on the show to Eric about how I was reading an argument on Twitter or whatever at the time where people were arguing over whether Jason was a zombie or not. And Eric said, I'm not even fucking talking about it.
He is after part 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, true story. Schnecky91, how long could you last in this world? Too much running, so I'm. What does that mean? I'm duck shit real fast.
It's not great. Duck shit.
Yeah.
Presumably seems bad.
Seemed okay in that island, I guess. Like not a lot of people, so like if some of them are annoying, you're just stuck with annoying people, right? Like
Well, that's
I also
basically the upshot
question-
of The Last of Us season
If
2.
I could get to an island like that in this movie, I would last a long time because I'm not stupid enough to leave the island.
I truly question the logistics though of like they're basically on a barren island. So like, and you know they
No, they're
send
growing
like
food. There's like farming.
they send
happening.
people out
Livestock and
to get
yeah.
like they send people out to get supplies, but like only 2 at a time, I guess. But then, so 2 people at a time cut all those trees we saw. I mean, I guess it's been years
No.
at this point, but like,
Well, I mean, I think probably in those cases, it's not just 2 at a time. I think
Yeah.
probably this is a specific rite of passage that they're like. This is
Yeah.
a thing that they're doing that he's going to get his first kill. He's his first mainland experience, and that's why when they come back, there's the ritual of the party that's waiting for him, and then there's the whole like legend building of like what happened out there that's like full of lies.
Yeah.
It's like his
So-
bar mitzvah.
Yes,
And
Yeah.
I assume they would have cleared the trees when they first established that island and start building up. That's kind of basic castle fortifications to get that killing field opened up in the front. That's how I took it.
I still don't understand why they are making these people live on this island and not just like, I don't know, bringing them to modern world. Like, or, you know, Apple would love to sell them iPhones and then like drop ads into their feeds and so forth. Like, come on.
Well, I mean, if the events of 28 weeks later still exists, presumably they learned their lesson and were like, no, it's better to just cut it
Yeah,
off.
yeah, never
which we
again.
might come to find out.
Fair enough. I think
Yeah,
we have to take
John.
28
almost have
weeks
to be.
later as canon. Or, like, that would
Yeah,
be crazy were it not.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that we're talking about a very, very small population of people and like the risk reward of bringing people over. If that's been the experience, maybe they're just like, let them be.
Yeah.
next up, our listener PJ, who I've maybe talked about PJ in the show before, but he's basically my Waluigi. Like
Oh, That's cool.
we disagree on
So you're
almost
Luigi.
we disagree on almost everything. Well, that's just perspective, John, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you could be Wario,
What,
and then
what
you
does
guys
it
could be
say
brothers.
that you've chosen Luigi? Like you could be Mario. You could be Beyonce.
That was the other
Yeah.
and
point
you're
that I was
choosing,
thinking.
you know, like you're choosing
Well,
to be Kelly. and
he
I
has
don't
a very
understand
specific
why.
Waluigi quality about him. which is
Oh, okay.
why-
So you're Luigi only to his Waluigi. really?
yes, yes.
Okay. Fair.
Got it.
He says, whoever greenlit the last 30 seconds of this film should be shot out of a cannon into the sun. I can forgive the other tone changes, but the Eastern Bloc Ninja Turtle bullshit is unforgivable.
I mean,
And I just
no.
messaged him back, oh no, do we agree on this? I'm always like, if him and I agree on something, everyone should be concerned about like
Yeah.
jumping timelines or the apocalypse or something. So
That sounds like the hit from back in
yeah,
the day.
him and I would agree every once in a while. But, let's see, talk about that. Caitlin from Plug It Up podcast. What's better, cheese fries or nachos?
Cheese fries.
Nachos.
Is it if we're talking just cheese fries?
I think nachos.
I might just go plain fries over all of them, but
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm choosing between the two things. 2 plates have been put before me. I'm choosing the nachos.
I'm
I guess
a
it
French
depends
fry
how loaded
purist.
are the nachos we're talking, you know?
I'm a French
he's
fry
like-
purist. I think if they're cooked right, you don't need to have sauce on them. Just some salt.
Yeah. Well, but here's the thing. I'll sign up for a poutine situation almost
Yeah.
every day. So
dipping
Now we're
fries
having a
in-
different conversation.
Yeah.
I'm dipping fries
Yeah.
in mayo.
That's a meal.
You're
I'll
dipping
do
fries
some
in
mayo.
mayo.
Yes. Delicious.
I do like mayo and fries.
There's almost no food situation that I will not introduce mayo into.
So you are a Waluigi, I think.
It's delicious, John.
No, I
food
do.
of gods.
I like mayo and fries. I don't.
I had a friend that used to get like Ruffles chips and dip them in mayo. So
I would do that. Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
I've done that at certain points. Yeah.
It is a Midwest thing where people and restaurants mix mayo and ketchup and call it fry sauce.
I mean, that's every burger sauce. The base of every burger sauce is
Yeah.
mayo and ketchup with just some other
Yeah.
stuff in there. Yeah.
I mean, throw some pickles in there, you got some Thousand Island. Bam.
I'm just saying it has a name here of fry sauce in the Midwest.
Last question, also from Caitlin. Favorite representation of Satan in horror?
Oh,
Ooh.
I mean,
For
Black
me,
Phillip, slam dunk.
it's Legend. I think Tim Curry, that makeup on him and his performance, there's never been a more frightening version of Satan to me.
No one's gonna go Al Pacino. I'm gonna go dark horse. Have you recently seen The Prophecy? Viggo Mortensen is a great
I don't
Satan.
know, but yeah.
Peter Stormare and Constantine. Yeah, Renee. Sorry, I'm looking at the comments. That's a good one.
I also I immediately go to South Park Bigger, Longer, Uncut because
Yeah.
you know.
The alternate title of this movie.
I really like the big demon. Speaking of dongs, the big demon at the end of This Is the End. I always enjoyed.
Yeah. I wouldn't say he's my favorite version of Satan, but he is pretty dreamy. It's the guy from Lucifer.
I'm actually surprised
Carl's a
Casey, you
big fan
didn't
of
go
him.
with Dave Grohl.
Yeah.
Isn't he?
Yeah. The Tenacious
guess-
D moment.
There's some movie where Jason. Oh God damn it! What's his name from all the Kevin Smith movies?
Jason Mewes?
The hell movie? No, not. Never mind. Ignore me. I don't know what I'm talking about.
You're like
to go look it up.
really going off the deep end.
Not Jason. The guy who's in Mallrats. What's that guy's name? The
Jason Lee?
Scientologist. Jason Lee. Thank you.
Okay.
Is it Dogma that he plays? No. Who plays the?
He's
Dogma?
not Satan in Dogma, but I forget who Satan is. You know, Atlantis is God.
Oh, he is in Dogma though. I was like a
Snape
demon.
is Metatron.
Guys, are we doing Megan 2? That's this weekend, right?
It looks unbelievably terrible, which kind of makes me want to see it.
I saw a headline for a review today that I had to laugh at, which was Megan 2.0 is 0.0% worth watching.
Well, we'll talk
The
about it
marketing
offline.
is
We'll
getting
figure it out.
ridiculous on Megan 2.0. I saw a video from Pride Parade somewhere where they had the flag corps was dressed as Megan dolls and doing the dance in the parade.
I think I'd be
They are
happier if
really
I saw
like,
that.
come on, like
Yeah.
they're pitching their advertising towards the gays. I'm like,
Come
that's
on,
not
love
how
us.
this works.
I think
That's
I'd
not how this
feel-
works.
I think I'd feel happier if I saw that in my home, and I also have a feeling it's going to be there soon.
Yeah.
So maybe we wait.
It feels like a
I don't
Peacock
know. I
debut
think
in like
it's-
2
well,
weeks.
We'll see. I think it's gonna do okay. I think the kids are gonna show. And I can't speak to the gays. I
You're
defer to
speaking for the
Rachel
kids
on.
now, John.
I don't know.
I mean, we're surprised by the first one. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and hope that they got some surprises up their sleeves, but it doesn't look well from the
That
trailers.
trailer, my God.
The trailer's unbelievably terrible looking. I was actually shocked by it.
Yeah.
I was like, and I get it's trying to be campy, but still, like that.
Yeah, I'm hoping that was intentional to make it look
Oh.
different, like a joke.
No, they just like the marketing people were like, okay, so we got to get Slay Queen in there, and
Yeah.
it's very
Queen.
yeah.
All right, guys, that's it. 28 years later. Hope you enjoy the show, and we'll talk to you next week.
See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.